Except. Jerry go. Okay, we're going to start without Jerry. Okay, welcome everybody. We apologize for the delay. We were at some police promotions and on day of ceremony, and it ran a little over. So we can blame the chief of police on that one. So welcome to the town board meeting of Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. And we'll have the town clerk take a roll call.
Councilman Paul Valentine.
Here.
Councilman Jerry Batari.
Here.
Councilman Brian Donio.
Here.
Councilman Dan Sullivan.
Here.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Here, and we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so couple of short announcements. We are having a Dog Days of Summer fundraiser. It's going to be on June 20th at the Splash Pad, so anyone who wants to bring their four-legged friend over for an opportunity to go on the Splash Pad, which may be the only time, because I know my Parks Director is not thrilled with this idea that I had, for $10 a dog, and it's all going to benefit the Hudson Valley Humane Society. So should be fun and hopefully no damage to the Splash Pad. We do have a couple presentations. I don't know if Jim Dean is here. Jim, we have a National Public Works Week. You want to come on up and take this, or you want me to read it, or? Yeah, if you just want to go over there and say a couple words. Oh, Eamon and Eric. Are Eamon and Eric here, outside somewhere? I'm told you should be included in Public Works Week, whether you like it or not.
So, thank you. I want to thank the board for recognizing National Public Works Week. This is all over the United States. We celebrated here in Orangetown, and for the last 30 years, we've done it with an open house at the Highway Department, and we did that last Saturday, and it was great. And Eric, always get help from Eric, and Eamon came and sat with us for a little while out in the sunshine. But Orangetown has separate departments, so Public Works, you hear that, in a lot of places they combine that. Orangetown has kept it separate. Each one of us have our own category: Parks Department, Engineering and Sanitation, the sewer system, and for us, the highways. So I want to thank you very much for the recognition. You don't really want me to read this whole thing,
No,
do you?
I don't.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think they
But
do.
this is important. It puts us in the game with people all over the United States. And we do share, and we do get training. And I'm proud to say that the Highway Department, every 5 years, we have an opportunity to put in for a national award. And we have 3 national awards. So we have an opportunity again, I think, in 2 years. So we really do appreciate being part of this organization. And thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you, and we thank you for everything you do. Okay, so before we go on to the next item, which is the presentation, which I know many of you are here for, I'm going to jump to item number 8 on the agenda, because there's basically this. I know there's people here for this item, and I'd rather have it done, and they're more than welcome to stay, but if they want to leave, I understand if they're not here to hear anything else. So if we go to number 8, it's designating or installing a memorial sign on Lombardy Road from Van Warmer Road to Lang Terrace in Pearl River as Captain Frederick Sims Way. I'll just read some of the resolution, and then there is going to be a street dedication that I'll tell you about. But so whereas FDNY Captain Freddie Sims Jr. passed away on Thursday, June 12, 2025, after a long and courageous battle with a 9/11-related cancer. He was 49 years old. Whereas Freddie was born in July 24, 1975 in Nyack to Frederick R. and Kathleen Sims, lived in Japan, and graduated from Tappan Zee High School in 1993. He then earned a bachelor's degree in communication arts from the University of Scranton in 1997. Whereas in 2001, Freddie began his career at the Fire Department of New York with Ladder 58 in the Bronx, was promoted to lieutenant at Ladder 40 in Harlem, and returned to Ladder 58 as captain. Freddie was a beloved firefighter and respected officer serving the city of New York for 22 years. And whereas Freddie married the love of his life, Jill, in June of 2006 for 18 years and lived in Pearl River. Whereas he served his local community as a member of the Volunteer Fire Association of Tappan for over 27 years. During his tenure, he served as chief of the Tappan Fire Department from 2014 to 2016. Whereas Freddie also served as the County of Rockland as a fire coordinator, was part of the Orangetown Chiefs Council, the Orangetown Emergency Management Team, and helped train the next generation of firefighters as a New York State fire instructor at the Rockland County Fire Training Center. Whereas Freddie was a devoted husband, son, brother, uncle, and friend, and will be remembered most for his kind heart and generous spirit, as he always put the needs of others before his own. Whereas on the 19th day of May, 2026, the town board designates a roadway in Captain Frederick S. Sims Jr.'s name for a term of 5 years to honor the deceased, with the intention of installing nearby memorial street signs to signify the dedication. So now, therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby designates in honor of the deceased Lombardy Road between Van Wormer Road and Lang Terrace as Captain Frederick Sims Way. So can I get a motion on that?
I make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
They are going to, on June 6th, there's going to be a memorial mass and street dedication. So it's going to be at St. Aidan's, the mass at 10 at St. Aidan's, followed up with the street dedication at 11 o'clock on June 6th. So I don't know if there's any family members here, but we just wanted to get that done for you before. You want to come up? You want to say a few words? We don't usually allow this, but this is a special one.
Just want to say thank you to the town board for this beautiful honor in honor of my husband, Frederick Sims. I hope that the street naming and the start of his foundation, founded in his name, will help to inspire the youth of our town to get involved as members of the Volunteer Ambulance Corps, Tappan Fire Department, all our volunteer fire departments, because it is so important. I hope Freddie's legacy will be eternal. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now back to the agenda. We're going to call up, we have representatives from Sidetrack Properties for the presentation on the apartments on West Jefferson Avenue in Pearl River. And if you just wouldn't mind introducing yourself and...
Sure. Good evening, Madam Supervisor, members of the board, members of the public. My name is Amy Mealy. I'm here tonight of counsel to Emmanuel Law PC, and we represent the petitioner Sidetrack Properties, LLC. With me also is John Lagana. John is the son of Joseph Lagana, who's the owner of the property at issue. So what we're here to do tonight is just to present a concept. It's a concept we think makes sense, and it's a concept that's been successfully implemented in other towns to the south of us, in Jersey, and in towns that have been lucky enough to have a transit hub. So this is a petition by my client to establish a development enhancement overlay zone. It would allow, in the CO district, rental apartments on parcels which are within 1,000 feet of the train station and are at least 1 acre in size. I'll get into a little later in the presentation that doesn't really affect many properties, and what it is it's an overlay zone. So it's not changing any of the underlying zoning in the CO zone or in the community. It is an overlay, sort of think of the zoning map as a piece of paper on a table and a tissue that can be placed over it if you apply for it and you meet the qualifications and the town board thinks it's a good idea. It could be enacted on a piece of property and it could be developed as such. So if the board decides to consider the petition and if the legislation is passed, it's likely that my client would apply to have the application of this zone to apply to his property. So every once in a while in this, even though this is a conceptual thing, every once in a while in this presentation, I'll reference my client's property as sort of an example of what could be there, although there could be other properties that might qualify. Tonight, again, simply a presentation to get some feedback from the board and hopefully from the public as to why we think this zoning makes sense. And my understanding is the board is not making any decisions this evening. So again, we're just here to make a presentation. So let's talk about what this does not do and maybe allay some fears that some people might have. This does not apply to any current residential neighborhoods. This does not eliminate any planning board review or any ARB review or any other review that's required under the law. It does not mandate any redevelopment at all. So in other words, nobody's forcing any zoning upon anybody else and requiring anyone to do anything. It does not require a change to every parcel in the CO zone.
Amy, can I just interrupt you for a second? There's chairs up here now that are available because the Sims family left. So if anyone wants to come up, it says reserved, feel free to take them. Okay.
Okay. So how does the zone work? We believe that this is sort of a measured, planned proposal for some redevelopment near your transit hub. Again, as I said before, it only applies to parcels in the CO zone that are within 100 feet of 1,000 feet, I'm sorry, of the station and that are over 1 acre in size. It is not an area-wide village zone change. It would allow for residential apartments, but it would have built-in controls that would be further developed if this process were to go further down the line. It would have maximum height limitations, it would have parking requirements, it would have bulk requirements, it would have planning board review, and each application for designation of the overlay zone would have to come to this board for determination. We think that this is a better use for a key area in the southern part of Pearl River. The existing conditions there are largely industrial. There are some very attractive office buildings like USIS, but there are some surrounding uses that are older, relatively unattractive, commercial, industrial style uses, storage facilities and whatnot. The area is within walking distance of the Pearl River train station and the downtown business district. And the current conditions of that area of town, at least we don't believe maximizes the value or the appearance of that area of town. We think it could be improved. So why does this zone make sense? Again, we're within walking distance of the train station. That's a big thing. Housing is a problem in Rockland County. I think everybody recognizes it. I know that, I have a daughter who's graduating nursing school, and she's going to be living with me for quite some time because she can't find apartment housing in Rockland, and she can't afford to move to the city. So it's going to create housing opportunities for young professionals like her, commuters, even downsizing seniors, and local workforce residents. It would, we believe, support businesses downtown because you'd have people getting off the train and walking to our different establishments. And we think it would enhance both the appearance and the vitality of that area of town. So here's an overview of the area. I understand it's kind of hard to see, but what's sort of in the middle of the yellow circle there is the train station, and where our client's property is I would say it's at sort of that 5 o'clock on the outside of the red circle. So that's the area that we're talking about being affected. But again, it has to be zone CO, it has to be at least an acre, and the property owner has to want it. And the board would have to agree to it. So this, again, this is some existing conditions. This is the property that's catty corner to USIS. And right now it's just being used as sort of a storage facility. Probably not, the most, attractive parcel in the town. But we believe that it could be greatly enhanced by the application of this zone. We also have up there for you a GIS map of the property. The circled parcel is my client's property, and the red arrow is pointing to the train station. And then I gave a Google Earth overview which also shows the train station as well. So as far as like tangible benefits on a town-wide basis, we believe that this would bring, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. We believe that this would bring both economic and community value. It would convert a low-intensity use into a long-term tax generating residential asset. It's really kind of planning for the future of the children and the young men and women of this area, but also, again, for seniors who might want to have a place still up here while to come and visit grandchildren and things like that. It would provide new residents to support our local businesses. I think, or we think, it would encourage investment in surrounding properties. I find that sometimes, if you build it, they will come. If you build something nice, you'll see people wanting to get in on the action, and we're hoping that that would be the case. There would also be new taxes generated. Obviously, my understanding is that on that parcel, my client pays now about $69,000 a year in taxes, with several residential rental units, whatever is decided upon. If this moves any further, that's going to generate a lot more tax revenue than that. So it would be a nice rateable for the town and kind of the gift that keeps on giving. And also, you'd be putting the housing in an area that makes sense because it's walkable to the train station, but it's not promoting urban sprawl. We're not suggesting that this be applied to the whole CO district downtown. It has very specific limitations, and we think that this would be a good place for the town of Orangetown to start in Pearl River. So we think that this is a unique opportunity. On the left side, you have what's there. On the right side, that's just a rendering. Don't everybody get excited. It's like completely a conceptual rendering. I should mention that my client is interested in getting the feedback because as a businessman, he's not interested in spending a lot of money on developing engineering plans and going so far down the process and then find out this is something that the town doesn't want. We respect the town's decision certainly, but if I'm unable to answer questions about specifics, it's because that it really has not gone beyond the conceptual phase just yet. So in conclusion, we think that this petition makes sense on a number of levels. It provides housing opportunities for younger residents, again, who work in the city, to reside in Pearl River at a much more affordable rent than the city. It provides support to local businesses, increasing downtown foot traffic. It allows Pearl River to compete with our Bergen County towns to the south, many, if not all of which, have adopted some form of this, some better than others, but at least some form of this in their downtown transit areas. And it provides newer, greater ratables for the town while revitalizing an underused portion of the hamlet of Pearl River. So again, I'm going to stay around until the end. If the board has any questions of me right now, I'm happy to answer them. And if during the public comment period you'd like me to answer something, we'll still be here.
Okay, so I do have a question, because I
Yes.
know, and I understand it's concept plan, and there would be a petition, but I guess I'm trying to figure out that there had been some submission along the way. I don't know, I guess it's what's up on our website, and it was being proposed 87 one-bedroom units, 21 two-bedroom units, 1 3-bedroom, which I thought was for the person that was on site or something, for a total of 109. Is that still kind of where the concept is at?
It's still concept.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's still all concept. I think the 3-bedroom was to allow for like an on-site caretaker or
Okay. So that
maintenance
was-
person.
Okay.
But again, these bulk requirements are very early phase. We just thought it was helpful to put something in the petition to give the
Right, to
board
give an
something
idea,
to
that's
think
what, yeah,
about.
yeah. Yeah, and so I'm just going to ask it again, and I know, I kind of know the answer, but I just know that this is something that people are interested in, even if you can't answer it. What's the rent going to be? So, the rent, what's the rent going to be? And obviously, I know I know it's hard
Target
to,
rent is to be around 3,000, a little less, a little more, depending on one bedroom, two bedroom.
right, right. Right. Okay, we're not going to have people, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to speak out from the audience.
No.
Okay. Oh, okay. Then you could speak out from the audience.
I can, I'm
Yeah.
a trial lawyer, I could do
Right.
this.
Yeah, they won't be able to hear you
Okay.
when there's people watching
Okay.
it.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. Laura Weiss. The two things that you've asked, I want to just clarify, okay? I want to just clarify because we've had initial discussions about them. In terms of the number of apartments, that was the original premise, but as you are aware, and everybody else should be aware, this is going to go through a very long process. That will in all probability change. This board, the planning board, are going to tell us what we can do, and we will make a determination about whether or not that's feasible. So when you talk about these numbers, that was the first go-around. Similarly, and I heard the, because I did the same thing, the $3,000. That is also in discussion in terms of what the building costs, how it works out, how many apartments there are,
Right.
how big they are, what the going rate can be. And I think, with all due respect to John, I've been much more involved in this than he has. I don't think that's a fair statement. I don't think that $3,000 is by necessity a fair statement of where we are. I don't think any of this really can be brought to reality until we get past the first part of this. It's a cart horse thing. So, having said it, you're wrong.
I'll unsay it.
He's got to unsay it, because,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes they're not right.
May I just add one thing, too?
Sure.
And also, we have no business in building something that we can't rent.
Right.
You know, it's going to be market rent. It's going to be what, you know, it can bear. We have no intention to build something that nobody can afford. And a lot of things go into that decision, a lot of financial analysis. I know you hear developers come up here all the time and say, oh, well, I need this many, I need this many. But really, they do a financial analysis. That has yet to be done. So I would not want people to walk away from this meeting, think we're stuck on a certain number, because we are
Right.
not, and there's going to be a range.
Right.
I have two questions.
Yes.
What is the size of the lot that this is proposed on, and is all the parking going to be on-site under the building?
It's
Yeah.
about 60,000, a little more than that, and all site parking is on site. All parking is on site.
Yeah, combined, it's about, it's a little bit over an acre, 1.1,
It's just one and a half, just on.
just under 1.5.
Okay.
Okay.
And just to answer questions that we hear, obviously, this has to go through a traffic study and everything else as it goes down the pike.
Understood.
Okay. Anybody else?
Anybody up here, anything? No? Okay, okay, thank you, thank you. I'm sure
Thank
that we. Okay, we're going to jump to the e-bike discussion. Rob, you have something you want to?
Yeah, so this came up a few months ago about regulating e-bikes in town. The state law actually does not permit persons under 16 years of age to operate an e-bike or an e-scooter. So the town is coming up with a local law to address, certain issues, certainly with respect to town parks, where people can ride, speed limits, things of that nature. So it's something other municipalities are doing. I know the town of Haverstraw recently passed a law. Many other municipalities in the state passed a local law that applies to each municipality, kind of off of the state law. But it is, as the board, we discussed, it is state law that under 16 really is not supposed to operate those. So The issue, the reason why it's kind of confusing is e-bikes and e-scooters, can be operated on public roads. They can be operated on highways 30 miles an hour or less. So, there's concerns, but again, a big part of the law, which this is just on for discussion, a big part of the law that will be reviewed is about where you can operate them in parks, again, the speed limit, helmets, et cetera, things of that nature. So, that's really where this came from, was and that's what the state law anticipates, is that localities will address, how you want to handle it in parks or multi-use paths, really. So, and it would be permitted on certain multi-use paths. We discussed it with Eric,
Right.
So
I just
that
think
would
one
be
of the big
more to regulate.
misconceptions was people didn't know that New York state law prohibited
Right.
anyone from 16 and under 16 from riding on them. So,
Right, so I know that's a big thing.
yeah.
But again, we're not changing anything with respect to that. We can't change anything with respect to that. But,
No, I know. No, but I think some people thought we were imposing a stricter law than New York State.
Right, no, we're not. Again, it's more addressing parks, things of that nature.
Right. So the next step would be to,
To present it on for a public hearing. And again, similar, well, not similar to this, but
Right.
have a public hearing where, the board would consider law, public can comment, and then we go from there.
okay, anybody, questions? It's like the food truck, it never goes away, Okay, so I don't know, should we jump to the public hearing? Because I think there's a public hearing, we said for 7:05, and we're kind of late, so we're just going to run, because we should try to keep our public hearings. There's a public hearing that was scheduled for tonight, so we're going to jump to that. It's actually agenda item number 2. So can I get a motion to open the public hearing regarding the proposed local law amending vehicle and traffic regulations in the hamlet of Pearl River and South Nyack? Motion?
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have Stephanie here to help give us a summary of what we're doing.
Yes, good evening. So as the legal advisor to the Traffic Advisory Board, I'm just going to address some of the proposed laws that was voted upon by the Traffic Advisory Board for this board's review tonight. That's on for a public hearing. So the first public law that we are that the Traffic Advisory Board is looking to have this board vote upon is the codification of the Village of South Nyack's traffic laws. Specifically, within the Village of South Nyack, there are existing stop signs in addition to a no turn on red sign. So the Traffic Advisory Board voted to have the board consider voting in favor of incorporating the already existing signs that are in the Village of South Nyack into our town code. Additionally, with respect to, I'm actually going to just address all the South Nyack vehicle and traffic laws first, and then I'll move into the other portions. So with respect to South Highland in the Village of South Nyack, there was a police regulation, a 6-month police regulation that was in effect in relation to this law that the Traffic Advisory Board is looking to have passed. The Traffic Advisory Board voted to permanently remove the parking restriction on the east side of South Highland in the Village of South Nyack. And that was based upon residents coming before the Traffic Advisory Board and informing the board that they have steep driveways, which makes it difficult for themselves, guests, as well as contractors to park. There will still be a west side parking restriction, and the surrounding residents of South Highland have been notified about this, as well as the schools, and there were no issues that were raised, and there were no issues that were raised during the police regulation period. And also, the Traffic Advisory Board also wanted to note that the road is wide enough to remove this restriction. Additionally, with respect to the Village of South Nyack, There is a proposed law to add no parking between two houses on Piermont Avenue, specifically number 135 and 129, which is approximately 15 feet. When cars try to park there, as the Traffic Advisory Board was advised, they block one of the driveways, and they need more than 20 feet for parallel parking. Likewise, the residents have been notified about this proposal, and they are satisfied with this change. With respect to the changes made in Pearl River, this pertains to South John Street. The Traffic Advisory Board voted to add a no parking on South John Street and on the west side near the cemetery and Franklin Avenue. There already is a parking restriction from Central Avenue to Meyer Oval on the west side. With this restriction, people will still be able to park on the east side where permitted. Residents informed the Traffic Advisory Board that when cars park on both sides of the street, specifically in front of the cemetery, the cars need to back up to let other cars get through. Even more concerning, emergency vehicles aren't able to get through when there are cars parked on both sides of the street. Surrounding residents were notified about this as well, and there was no negative feedback with respect to this proposed change. And additionally, in Tapan, the Traffic Advisory Board is proposing that a new street light be installed at Windsor Brook Lane and Kings due to numerous accidents that have occurred, as well as property damage to a resident's property. There is a curve in that road, and it resulted, unfortunately, the last accident, a car actually landing in the resident's backyard. So it's very dangerous conditions, and we were advised that the resident sustained damage repeatedly to her fence as well as her front lawn. Most of these accidents occur during the nighttime or the early morning hours. Previously, chevrons were added to this area as well as a radar, and this is just an additional safety measure to improve road visibility. So, as I said, those are all the proposed changes that are on tonight for the board to consider.
Thank
from
you.
the Traffic
Thank you,
Advisory
Stephanie.
Board. Thank you.
Okay, so no one signed up to speak on this, but if there's anyone who would like to speak, please raise your hand. Go ahead, come on up.
Hi, Noreen Gernon, Pearl River, and I just want to say I'm very happy that this is happening on John Street, because I live right there, and I'm the one that went to the Traffic Advisory Board, so hopefully this will go through. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else want to speak? Seeing no hands, can I get a motion to close?
Motion to close. Go ahead, Chair.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I get a motion to declare the town board declare itself lead agency in this matter, and it's a type 2 action, and that no further action is necessary with respect to SECRA? Motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we don't often get public hearings where we only get one positive comment. So on that note, can I get a motion to adopt the local law to amend the town code as explained to us so eloquently by Stephanie? Motion?
I make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we can go back, and we will try to workshop real quick so we can get to the public portion. Right there. 7 is, this has to do with the bonding and the sewer bonding, again, one more. It seems like we keep doing it, but for the sewer bonds, that's a couple of pages. We already did 8.
8 we did.
Okay, number 9, let me try to briefly explain this. So there has been a person who has been coming to town hall, not a resident, does not have any business here, has been somewhat disruptive and, inappropriate, as you might want to use. So our town attorney did research, and we can revoke somebody's right to be here if they don't have any legitimate reason being here, but only the town board can really do that. So this would give authorization to tell that person that their right to be here is revoked unless they are doing town business, and then they would have to contact us. So that's as diplomatically as I can say it.
Okay.
Number 10 is a tax certiorari proceeding. Number 11 is recognize an appointment from the Highway Department of Matthew Johnston to Assistant Automotive Mechanic. Number 12 is reclassifying a position in Parks. Christine Fuller is being reclassified to an Administrative Secretary. Number 13, approve the intermunicipal agreement with Rockland County for reimbursement of costs of law enforcement overtime for counterterrorism training, so we are getting money on that one. Number 14, accept the retirement and resignation of Police Officer Johnny McCara, effective May 30th. Number 15, approving the installation of the streetlight. That's what was mentioned by Stephanie when she was speaking. Number 16, this is awarding a contract to Century Equipment Corp. To repair, rebuild a primary clarifier, and again, that's for the sewer department. Number 17, award a contract to supply chemical storage tank sodium chloride. And again, these are, I think it's both bonded money, if I remember correctly, and it was bid for. And then we have some lend assistance, which are always fun. We're going to combine 1923, which is lend assistance to the Tapan Memorial Day Parade on May 25th, lend assistance to the 2026 Palisades Memorial Day Ceremony on May 25th, approve lend assistance to the 2026 Sparkhill Memorial Day Parade, May 25th, approve lend assistance to the Clausa Mountain Watchfire on May 30th, and approve lend assistance to the St. John's Henry Newman Eucharistic Procession on June 7th. And then the audit. So I think we're caught up. Can I get a motion to open the public portion?
I make a motion to open the public comment.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I'm just going to remind everybody, there is a 3-minute rule for speaking, and you'll see there's clocks all above. So the first person that has signed up to speak is Holly Seeger.
Good evening, Supervisor Kenny and members of the Town Board. I would like to bring your attention to a petition of 370-plus residents who are against the proposed traffic circle at the intersection of 9W, Oak Tree, and Washington Spring Roads in Palisades. In December, some of us received notice of the plan and started this petition. Since January, updates have been emailed to all the signers, Supervisor Kenny and her assistant, Allison Carden. Tomorrow, I will send them to you on the town board as well, along with a report by traffic engineer Joseph and Seta Ducato, and a letter by Deputy Majority Leader Dana Stilley to NYS DOT Commissioner Dominguez. The letter is also signed by all 17 Rockland County legislators. A week or so ago, Senator Bill Weber and his Chief of Staff, John Mulgrew, joined us at the intersection. Although they had heard the traffic circle was fully agreed upon by the community, now that they understood that this was definitely not the case, they urged us to make you aware of it too. We need to gain your support in stopping the DOT's progress until comprehensive safety studies are done. Changes are definitely needed, but we need an overall plan for all of 9W from the state line to the Cuomo Bridge. In my opinion, the most pressing issues are confusing signage at the state line. When going north right after Lamont Dougherty, the order of the signs makes 0 sense. If you take a drive yourself, you'll see that there's so many accidents up there. Even this afternoon, sirens were racing by. Google Maps and Waze are another major problem. Cars and trucks, including tractor trailers, are being routed north and south via 9W. Reprogramming these apps should be simple for AI, right? With all this AI stuff. 10-ton weight limit. There's a 10-ton designation on Route W, except for 9W, except for local deliveries. And that is not really being followed. Once these overweight trucks get on the highway, they have no way to turn around. The Sparkhill Creek Bridge is actually really a frightening issue because it's supposed to be 8 to 10 tons weight, and many of the trucks on the roads these days are easily 10 tons without cargo. So it's an accident waiting to happen. I think it should be looked into. No large vehicles will be able to navigate into the circle, into the streets going east and west on the circle, I was told. We would like to lower speed limits, and we would like to know why there's such a resistance against speed cameras. And not to mention the H&A problem and resolution that needs to be resolved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sonia Levy?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Sonia Levy, and I'm speaking as a resident involved in the Route 9W community.
Yeah, could you a little closer to the, yeah,
Sorry.
there you go.
I'm part of the I'm involved in the Route 9W safety effort, and my question is specific. Route 9W should not be treated as a set of siloed projects. It is one connected corridor system, and that is not just a resident observation. It's basic corridor level planning and system analysis. Under transportation planning, this is a corridor level systems issue. Under SECRA, it is a cumulative impact and segmentation issue. Either way, the review should match how the corridor actually functions. Residents are already seeing, feeling, and hearing the combined impacts: deteriorating pavement, vibrations in homes, apparent weight limit violations, drainage issues, speeding, lack of enforcement, school bus safety concern. And now there's additional pressure that I'm understanding that there's also a traffic circle proposal along with the H&A. And the trail paving as well as the rerouting decisions that I've heard about. So the question is not whether each item has been reviewed in isolation. The ask is, please identify the cumulative review record for the Route 9W corridor. Has there been one cumulative SECRA review or a cumulative environmental impact statement evaluating these combined impacts together? If yes, please identify the lead agency, document, title, determination, and where the public can review it. If no, please state clearly that no cumulative corridor-wide review has been completed and why not. And if the answer is I don't know, then that in itself is important because residents are already experiencing the cumulative impact while agencies continue to give delayed, partial, or unclear responses. We're also asking how long residents are expected to live with heavy trucks traversing a visibly deteriorating Route 9W while agencies sort out jurisdiction, as well as responsibility for truck monitoring and enforcement. Some vehicles coming off of the TZ bridge are capped, the bridge caps at 40 tons. There's no one monitoring or enforcing those trucks that come onto 9W. So, like Holly said, some of them empty, their tear weight is at 10 ton, exceeds 10 ton. And on the H&A and the pilot, the question is equally direct. How did JV LLC qualify for public tax benefits if the project is primarily residential and appears to create only 4 full-time jobs in 3 years? Which affected school districts were formally notified and shown the fiscal impact?
Thank you.
You could send the rest.
Yeah, we have a long list of people here. So I just want to, just before we keep going, but everyone will get a chance. This is a DOT project. So all of those questions are good questions, but they have to be given to the DOT. Now, I think most of you know, the DOT is having a meeting, a public meeting here on June 3rd at 6 p.m. So all those questions, because they're the agency doing this project, should be addressed to them. There's a bunch of other questions in there, and I'll just say about the H&A, I don't know what, there's no project yet at H&A, so I don't know what you know. I'm not saying you're wrong, because I just haven't heard anything about a pilot yet, because nothing's been approved. But maybe you know something I don't. I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, okay, so we have Amy Hyde.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just heard what you said. I think we're imploring help for this whole project. As residents, I've been a resident on Washington Spring Road for over 30 years. I've raised my family here. That intersection has been a challenge throughout my residency, and we are hearing of things without any information, and we question whether there's been any studies. If there have been studies, they have not been shared with us. So we're here asking for help with this assistance. So it's really about, the safety on 9W. Not only am I a resident, I'm a cyclist. So in October of 2019, I was struck by a car while cycling north on 9W. And it was near the southbound entrance to the Palisades Parkway. I just want to say there's no light there either, and it's, which we will be removing a light if we put the traffic circle in. There's currently a white bicycle memorial at that very same spot. So when I speak about cyclist safety on this corridor, it's not theoretical, it's real. It's one of the major cycling corridors in the United States. It's important to our community in the spirit of living along the Hudson River. I understand that roundabouts can improve safety in some situations, but federal guidance also makes clear that they only work when the design truly forces the vehicles to slow down. My concern is that at this intersection, it sits at the bottom of a steep downhill. The approach on a major truck and cycling corridor, it is still an approved trucking corridor 9W. You've got bikes and trucks. I've not seen the clear evidence that this particular design will truly make cyclists safer. I think we all can agree that safety should be the #1 goal for this project. And I respectfully ask that cyclists' safety also remains at the center of this discussion. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Jeff McNichol.
Good evening, Board. I come here also to speak about the traffic circle as I am a resident, Jeff McNichol from Palisades. I've looked at the proposed study that the DOT had in place when Michael Lawler was at Palisades Community Center, and it is grossly underdesigned. I did a study of my own only the last day. The average daily traffic from the last study was 9,000 ADT a day at that location. Over the last 7 years since that was done in 2017, you basically can say it's probably closer to 18,000 now ADT. A comparable circle, which I did research on, with that traffic study, is at Route 11 and 81 in Broome County. That takes up over 3 acres of land, and I don't know anybody in Palisades that's looking to give up their property on those 4 corners just to be able to handle that much traffic every day. That's without the bike lane. And Route 9W, that is the #1 bike route in the United States. That's called the Bear Mountain Loop. Nothing has been designed to be put into that. The one that I looked at in Broome County does not have one on a 3-acre lot. And there's not 3 acres there to develop a circle. I know you say that this is a DOT project, but Oak Tree Road is burdened every single day by 80,000-pound trucks, every single day. They're full loads. Nobody's coming in there empty. And we do no enforcement where it says 5-ton limit, nobody's doing local deliveries. ShopRite comes down. There's no ShopRite in Tapan. The ShopRite's in Northville. They're supposed to go down close to Dock Road. They don't do that. OPD doesn't do enforcement. We have no DOT over there. State Police doesn't do enforcement. And this needs to be done to stop. We have a small elementary school across the street. You have trucks doing 45 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, which the school's supposed to be 25. And nobody's doing anything to stop this. The design is faltered. I'll be at the third the June 3rd meeting. But with that said, the town has to be involved in this because these are town roads, Washington and Oak Tree Road, gratefully impacted. All the truck traffic turns left. There's nothing to deter them, little tiny signs. But if you go to Rockley, Rockley has tall signs, top from 10, 12 feet all the way down to the ground. $1,000 worth of signs, you might deter some people from turning down the roads and going into the local streets. They just took out the power lines not 3 months ago. They took out the phone lines at the same time. I really need the town to enforce the local laws. Thank you for your time.
Ellen Galinsky?
Thank you. I think you can hear the passion that our community feels against this traffic circle. There's an urban myth, so to speak, that we're for it, and we really aren't. I want to speak from the perspective of brain development because that's what my research is. I study executive functions of the brain, have been doing that for the last 26 years, including writing books, and right now working with AASA, the school superintendent organization, to teach executive functions skills so that teachers can help children learn them. I say that because the kind of skills that having a traffic circle calls for are skills that are much more complex than the simple stop-go of a traffic light. You have to be able to pay attention to traffic as it speeds ahead. You have to think flexibly if other cars come ahead. You have to be able to do relational reasoning if you see something happening and this happening, to think about it. And you have to be able to use inhibitory control if you have to stop. These are the most neurocognitive skills we have. These are the kinds of skills that a traffic circle depends on. If you get used to it, you can do them. But people vary very much on these skills, and I think all of us worry that not all of us, and I know that from a population level, have these skills to be able to function well. So I'm very worried from the moment that I heard it, whenever the idea was announced. I was so dead set against it because I think that is not, we're for safety, we're totally for safety, but I think this is not the way to bring safety. The second point that I want to make is that we are a neighborhood, we are a community. Where these traffic circles or turnarounds seem to work is when they are in places that, if Vassar, we're often compared to the traffic circle in Poughkeepsie. If you look at that on a map, there's a lot of space around it. It's not interrupting a neighborhood. We are a neighborhood, we are a community. We walk our dogs, we walk to the post office, we bike, and this, the idea of having to walk across a circle and stand in the middle with traffic coming and people not knowing where they're going is totally terrifying. So I would urge you, and I think this is a community issue, and it's one that most of the people in our community feel very strongly about. I would urge you to think of steps toward this. Take 9W as a whole and look at that as Holly urged. Look at turn signals or stop lanes or other things that can, I think this is a very expensive solution. It's a solution in search of a problem. I think we can have better solutions to address this. Thank you.
Thank you. Greta Nettleton?
Good evening. Thank you so much for giving me this chance to speak. I've lived in Palisades for 40 years, raised my family there, and I'd like to speak briefly about safety and also about cost. So my children grew up there riding their bikes to their friend's house. We're on one side of 9W, some of the friends were on the other side. And one of their babysitters was actually killed at that intersection. So safety is, of course, something we really care about. But ineffective remedies are not the way to go. And this remedy sounds extremely expensive. And $5 million for something nobody wants and will not give us a safe intersection strikes me as a very poor investment of money. Let's use that money more broadly for the whole of 9W. The pavement is falling to bits. There's all kinds of other problems that people really would like to see. And what if there's overruns on building, then 5 million could turn to 10 million. So I just want to urge that the powers that be take a look both at safety and at cost. Thank you very much.
Thank you. David Seeger.
Good evening. My name is David Seeger. I'm a resident of Palisades, and I've lived at the corner of Route 9W and Washington Spring Road for 40 years. Over those 4 decades, I've had a front row seat to the cars, the 18-wheeler trucks, pedestrians, and cyclists who pass through this intersection every day. In all that time, I have never been in a car accident when making a left turn onto Washington Spring Road. Why? Because I always wait for the northbound traffic to clear before turning. In my view, what is truly needed here are proper left turn signals. While a roundabout may be convenient for drivers passing through, it would be incredibly dangerous for those of us who need to cross Route 9W on foot. The thought of crossing this highway without a traffic light is frightening. Whether we are walking to the post office, the library, visiting our neighbors, or watching our neighbors' children trick or treat, there is no way that we would be able to cross that road safely. Standing in the middle of an intersection, in a roundabout, waiting for traffic to stop is simply not realistic. I respectfully request that you help us to get a traffic study conducted to evaluate the speed of vehicles, the amount of vehicles in that intersection. This is a well-known route for cyclists from New York City and throughout Rockland County, and traffic patterns change significantly with the seasons. Any study should be conducted from spring through fall when the traffic is heaviest. No matter what the DOT ultimately proposes, our community needs a traffic light to safely cross Route 9W, and I thank you all.
Thank you. Liz Bailey.
Hold 1 minute, please. I have to pull it up on my phone. Sure. Okay. My name is Liz Bailey, and I live at the intersection of Oak Tree Road and 9W. As a resident of this area for nearly 30 years, I've experienced firsthand the danger and disruption caused by the intersection. The impact has been deeply personal. I've been traumatized by repeatedly finding myself in the role of a first responder. I've witnessed a neighbor die before my eyes. I've been T-boned while pulling into my driveway. I've been awakened by the sound of a delivery truck crashing through the stone wall in my front yard. Even walking my dogs across 9W feels terrifying as I worry about being struck by a turning car or hit by a speeding vehicle traveling far above the speed limit. I no longer walk along 9W to the market because the stress and danger are simply too great. So yes, I believe the intersection is loud, dangerous, and in urgent need of a thoughtful solution. And it is for that reason that I'm here tonight to request the support of the town board. Our first ask is for your support in our effort to stop the construction of the roundabout. And the second ask is for your support for the reduction of the speed limit on 9W to 30 miles an hour from the town line of Palisades up through Piermont. The roundabout plan is clearly overkill, as it will ruin the character of our historic community. It will necessitate the destruction of trees and drainage and doesn't provide easier, safer traffic measures for all users, including cars, buses, trucks, bikes, and pedestrians. We do not need this chaotic and intrusive roundabout project. And then secondly, and maybe most importantly, is the request to reduce the speed limit on 9W corridor from the Palisades border, again, up through Piermont. This simple and relatively low-cost measure feels like a reasonable first step to minimizing accidents and is in keeping with the statewide effort in reducing the speed limit on local and state roads. I thank you in advance for your open to listen, and I'm really hopeful that you will help to support us in addressing these two issues. We really are trying to find a solution that is acceptable for all parties. We are mostly concerned about safety and would like to have our neighborhood be a place where we can all live without fear of getting harmed by this intersection or all the traffic and trucks going up 9W. Thank you. Oh, and I had a last minute note. A note was handed to me. During a recent site visit, State Senator Bill Weber advised residents that we need to ask the Orangetown Board to request that the DOT place a temporary hold on the proposed traffic circle until a comprehensive traffic study can be completed, considering all of the concerns raised this evening.
Good evening. My name is Stacy Moore, and I live in Pearl River. I support apartments being built across from the old Vision property. I have two children, aged 25 and 24, both still living at home. They are not alone. This location is perfect, right next to the train, access to Hoboken and New York City, supports downtown Pearl River, and reduces the need for a car. Frankly, that site, along with several others in town, looks terrible and does not reflect how much we pay to live here. What concerns me is the automatic, no growth, no change mindset. I saw the same thing at North Shore Swim Club when I first joined in 2007. There was a 5-year waiting list to get in. Now there is a waiting list longer to get out than to get in, and membership has basically opened almost to anyone. Years ago, people fought adding a kitchen or adjusting the adult swim because they did not want to lose the character of the club. Well, the club stayed stuck in the past. Families went in droves to Hillsdale and other places. Now North Shore is on life support. What good is having an adult swim if there's no club? We saw the same mistake with Legoland. Haverstraw and Stony Point fought in more than 10 years ago, saying they did not want traffic, pollution, or outsiders. So Legoland went to Goshen, and Rockland lost the revenue. And what happened? Haverstraw is getting overdeveloped like Ramapo anyway, and now faces many more of the same problems that come with it. They did not protect anything. They just lost the opportunity to be proactive and add to the tax base. I moved here from Brooklyn 25 years ago. And 30 or 40 years ago, my in-laws, who have been here for over 60, were already saying younger families were leaving, being priced out, and school enrollment was dropping. Now that problem is worse, and nothing has changed. As a mother, I want to live in a multi-generational town. I want to see my grandchildren in school plays, Little League, without needing flights, hotels, and highways. I want Orangetown to include people with long-standing memories here, people just starting out, and everyone in between. Protecting and preserving a town does not mean freezing it in place until it declines. Thank you.
Protecting myself.
Good evening. My name is Danny Gurniak, Pearl River resident, 25 years old, entering my final year of law school, currently work as a paralegal and still live at home. I strongly support these apartments because Orangetown needs more housing options for working professionals, new families, people starting out, and people who grew up here and want to stay here. Right now, many people my age are stuck between remaining at home well into adulthood or leaving town entirely because single-family homes are too expensive, and there are not enough apartments or condos for those ready to buy a house or start a family. It is one thing to lose residents to Hoboken or New York City because they want a different lifestyle, but we should not be losing people to Park Ridge, Montvale, or other towns along the New Jersey Transit line simply because those places offer apartment options that we do not. Unfortunately, several people I know are already in that exact situation. Apartments give people a practical way to stay here, save money, build their lives, and eventually buy in the community. They also give new people a chance to come into Orangetown and put down long-term roots here. If people are forced to leave and build their lives somewhere else, they are less likely to come back, less likely to care about the long-term future of Orangetown, and more likely to sell family homes later without any attachment to the community. We should also recognize that not everyone is looking for a house right away. Many people value amenities, walkability, easier commuting, less maintenance, and a sense of community. A well-planned apartment project near town and near transit, while still addressing the traffic and commercial concerns that others have raised, can provide exactly that. This issue is even more important because across the country, and especially in Rockland, individual home buyers are increasingly being priced out by high housing costs, LLCs, investors, and well-connected buyers. Having worked in the New York State Assembly myself as well, there is no shortage of state proposals that would place outside pressure on us to build and develop. We have a strong town board, and we should work on our own terms before the state dictates to us. For Orangetown to remain healthy, we need balance. We need seniors, families, working professionals, school-aged children, people starting their lives, and new residents who want to become part of the community. These apartments help create that balance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Brian Gurniak.
Good evening. My name is Brian Gurniak, and I am 24 years old, and I live in Pearl River. I support these apartments because I love this town, and I want to continue building my life here. Between law school internships and several side jobs, I'm working hard, but I can still not afford to move out, and I'm not ready yet to buy a home. The proposed apartments would give people like me a realistic way to stay in Orangetown without having to remain at home. I have seen too many friends leave for Westchester, New Jersey, and the South, so I think this is an innovative way to keep more residents in Orangetown. The project would also benefit the town in several specific ways. I, being a bartender in town at the Pearl River Saloon, would increase tax revenue, business, strengthen our ability to maintain local election districts that are not tied to other towns, and keep our schools strong so we eventually are not forced into merging with other districts. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy, I don't know, oh, Moynihan, maybe?
Good evening, Orangetown. I'll keep it short and sweet. I grew up in Pearl River as the youngest of 4 kids of 2 Blauvelt natives. After high school, I went off to college, go Irish, and during that time, my sisters and parents moved down south. Because the best opportunities for business are here, and because of this home, I came back to the area. Although I work in the lower Hudson Valley, I do not live in Pearl River due to a lack of feasible options for apartments. My friends are still in Pearl River. I grew up there. I still feel connected to the community, and I would love the chance to keep making Pearl River my home. I hope the commuter apartments plan on Jefferson Avenue moves forward because it would give people a chance to stay in Pearl River and grow with the community.
Thank you. Corinne Medrit? Should know that name.
Hello, my name is Corinne Medrick, and I live in Pearl River. I graduated college in 2024, and I currently work as a teacher in Clarkstown. My family goes back generations in Pearl River. I live at home now, but my parents are moving down south soon. I don't want to leave Pearl River, and if the proposed apartments are built, I would be able to stay in Pearl River until I'm ready to buy a house. Thank you.
Thank you. Helene Carey.
Good evening. As a longtime resident of Rockland County and a longtime current and future resident of Orangetown and Pearl River, I care deeply about the future of our town. I believe that projects like the apartments proposed by Sidetrack Properties are a great way for the town to guide growth with intentionality. I think it's important to make sure that we don't miss opportunities to revitalize, support local businesses, and create housing options that help keep younger and older generations in the community while still preserving the charm of a walkable small town that Pearl River knows and loves. If these plans do move forward, staying informed and involved as a community will be essential so residents can continue to make their voices heard and help shape a project that reflects the essence of our town while supporting its future. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Bora.
Thank you to the board for allowing us to speak tonight. For perspective, we own and live at 107 South Main Street, which is a direct home that abuts the property in question. Excuse me. The proposal before the board has serious deficiencies and should not move forward as currently designed. The building is way too big for the block. 109 units, 4-story structure is being dropped onto a 1.4-acre lot surrounded by single-family homes. Sorry, I'm very excited about this. This is the definition of high-density housing. It sits 5 feet from my home. The developer's own plans show a 5-foot emergency egress walkway between a 40-foot wall and my property line. That's a fire lane, not a buffer. I'm 5 foot 4 inches tall. That's the distance we're talking about. It will change the safety of the block. 132 space garage with 1 entrance is a dark, semi-public transient use space that police departments and urban planners consistently identify as a magnet for crime. Yet, there's no security plan in this submission, no commitment to lighting, cameras, on-site management, controlled access for that garage, or any coordination with the Orangetown Police Department. Traffic and parking are under-designed. 1 space per bedroom ignores couples, guests, personnel that work in this building, and deliveries. There's no traffic study for this site that funnels everything in that 109-unit complex into Jefferson Avenue, which is a 2-lane local street already overloaded at a grade-level rail crossing. For perspective, imagine how many Amazon deliveries would be going to that 109-unit apartment building. It's just staggering. There's a serious environmental impact that is not addressed in the proposal. All the flooding and drainage risk gets pushed onto us, the single families that abut those 3 houses right there. This site sits next to a FEMA flood zone, and it calls for paving of 57,000 square feet of ground with no real stormwater plan, meaning that water ends up in my basement, my neighbor's basement, and my other neighbor's basement, not theirs. Pearl River has long been one of the safer hamlets in Rockland County, if not the safest, and that safety is not an accident. It reflects the modest scale and stable residential character of blocks like ours. A 109-unit, high-turnover rental building puts that at risk in ways the proposal does not even attempt to address, and the burden of those emissions will fall on the environment and the homes that abut the site. We are here to advocate for a neighborhood that we have lived in literally for generations. We are not opposed to thoughtful development of that parcel next door, but a high-density, 4-story complex is not thoughtful development. We ask that this proposal be wholly rejected. Thank you very much.
Catherine Martin. Catherine Martin? Okay, she was for the circle, so maybe she heard enough. Okay, go one more time. Catherine Martin? No, okay. Paul Cairns.
Good evening. My name's Paul Kearns. I live in Pearl River. There's a couple of things that I'd like to ask to be considered with respect to the proposed construction of the apartment building. A couple of things. I'm a retired career firefighter from New Jersey. I'm a current fire commissioner in Pearl River, and I teach fire science and emergency management at John Jay College, CUNY John Jay College in the city. My concerns and what I'd like to have incorporated into it is 360-degree access to the building. The access point on the west side is railroad tracks, and from the drawings, it looks like it won't be accessible on the west side. This can be accomplished through the use of a full NFPA 13 sprinkler system. Due to the method of construction, the anticipated method of construction is going to be lightweight wood frame. Lightweight wood frame has a reduced fire resistance, and we've seen throughout the region, Edgewater, Maplewood, and down in Princeton, that once these buildings, if it's an NFPA 13R system, the building is lost, which means that Their NFPA 13 system, I know I'm talking codes here, is a system that staves off flashover for evacuation, but it doesn't maintain the residents' belongings. And so there's that. Lithium-ion battery, lithium-ion powered devices parked underneath create a problem. And so charging methods should be removed, and those should be parked outside. And other than that, I'd like that part included in the design process, and good luck with bringing it forward to the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray Kondracki.
Hello again. I lived in Orangetown my whole life. I'm 26. Just kidding. My whole life, I've heard about affordable housing for people who want to maintain themselves in Orangetown. This seems like a great idea. I'm just not quite sure if this is the right spot for this. I live on South William Street, and Main Street, Gilbert, are congested as it is. They use South William as a shortcut. I used to throw cones on the road to slow people down. Never worked. Yet the other day there was an accident right on that corner, and you couldn't move at all. It's just a tight area. The traffic in the town is controllable. I'm just not quite sure if a wonderful building like that if this is the right spot for it. Again, I hope to live there for as long as I can, but with the amount of traffic, perhaps we need some traffic circles or something to help us get by with that. But again, please consider the traffic studies of all times of the day when the train is coming across. Who's ever doing this study should have multiple cups of coffee. And there are multiple shops in town of Pearl River to get that coffee from. But thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, that's everybody who has signed up. Is there anybody?
Hi, Tina Traster from Rockland County Business Journal. I have two questions. One is really, I suppose, for the developer, and that is there an affordable set-aside that's being talked about in this development? I know that so much is spoken about in terms of affordable housing, so I wonder if there's a set-aside. My second question is, bigger picture, TOD. Did Orangetown ever move forward on designating any part of the section around the rail station as a TOD, and therefore does this, and I heard the phrase transit-oriented come out, but I don't think you ever did a TOD. Will you, and where does that fit in? So I'm hoping I can get some answers, or else I'm going to have to call you.
No, we don't do it back and forth, but you can sit down, and when anyone is done speaking who wants to, we'll address some of what we...
Okay, I appreciate that.
My name is Charles Solomon. I have lived in Palisades for 51 years. Some of you may remember my late wife, Joan, who was clerk, I believe, to the planning board here for about 5 years, and then she spent some years on the zoning board of appeals. So the only reason I mention that is because we had numerous conversations where she would tell me about the concern that the boards had about the very character and nature of the historical value of these various pockets within Orangetown, and the steps that they took, the board, to preserve the nature and the character.
of the historic values. Where we are there at 9W and Oak Tree Road and Washington Spring, it would be a terrible disruption, both to abutting property owners, would be disruptive. It would certainly disrupt the nature and character of the historic aspect, especially Washington Spring Road, which certainly is historic in so many ways. When it could be properly dealt with some of the suggestions that I've heard here this evening, such as signage, traffic signals, reduce the speed limit. And I take that hill every day. I come off the Palisades Parkway, and it can be quite something if you don't apply the brakes. So, and I'm always watching out for wildlife, for deer and whatever that I sometimes find in the middle of the road or if I come home late at night. But nevertheless, my whole thrust here is the preservation, if you will, of the historic aspect. If there's no other way that it can be dealt with, then that's another discussion. But I've heard some pretty practical aspects here that would certainly, as a beginning, give it a try so that we would have a minimum of disruption. I thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who wants to speak?
Hi, my name is Adam Garvey. I'm a resident of Blauvelt. I have my press pass on, but I'm not really speaking in my capacity as a journalist right now, just as a resident of Orangetown. I support this new development, even if there are some things that might need to be considered with the concerns that have been brought up tonight. I think that transit-oriented development like this sends a strong signal to New York State that says that we are ready for more public transit. I brought up to the board a couple months ago the West Shore feasibility study. I live next to Bailey Smokehouse, for those who might know, and that rail line right there used to be public rail. It used to take you right into New York City, and in fact, that's why my house was built. So I think what this does, it sends a strong signal to New York State. I think it sends a strong signal to residents and prospective residents that says, like, hey, we're here, we know that public transit is a real need. It's happening all over the country. Even in Clarkstown, we are seeing proposals for more transit-oriented development around Nanuet Station. Rockland County only has 5 public commuter rail stations, and Pearl River is the only one in Orangetown. So I think investing in that, investing in a community that surrounds that, and bringing in more residents who would be commuters, who would be using that train station, sends a strong message, and I think that we should build it.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Alexandra Obremski. I'm coming as the president of Hudson Valley Pattern for Progress, but also as a Rockland County native and current resident. I'm not here really to speak in favor or in opposition to this proposed project, but really to provide some housing-related context. Pattern for Progress conducted Rockland County's comprehensive housing needs assessment that was released in 2024, and the county is in the process of undergoing its comprehensive plan, and a lot of the things that are being expressed by residents in the public comment period are not just anecdotes, they're facts, right? Like, we're actually seeing an aging of the town of Orangetown. We're seeing double-digit increases in the populations of 50 to 64 and 65 plus, but decreases in the population of 35 to 49 and 0 to 17. We're seeing a almost 17% decrease in enrollment in schools, not just public, but private. Just in general, we're seeing a lot of out-migration to Bergen County. That is a reality. that residents are leaving Rockland County, and they're leaving Rockland County for Bergen. So there's a drainage of the workforce. It's impacting the ability to recruit for our volunteer first responders, our essential workers, right? So here's some quick data about the town of Orangetown. Since 2020, the increase in the median house price of a single-family home has increased by 36%. The average sales price has increased by 31%. Median gross rent in that same period of time has increased by 26%. So what that means is median gross rent, right, is around a little over $2,000. But the reality is, what we're finding is rental listings for 2025 for June, the median price was $4,050 a month for rent, which means you basically need a household income of $162,000 to be able to afford that, to not be spending more than 30% of your income on your housing. In the past 5 years, inflation-adjusted median household income has only increased by 9%, and actually inflation-adjusted household income for households of people aged 45 plus has actually decreased by 5%. So it's not just young people. It's great to see young people coming out speaking in favor of housing, but it's also people who are downsizing. And anecdotally, my mom is a Tapan resident. She's selling her townhouse and downsizing. When she's going around to find a rental to live in, literally 3+ year waiting lists for rentals. I mean, that's not sustainable. Also, Orangetown, you had your comprehensive plan in 2022. 4 of the top 6 professions in Orangetown wouldn't be able to afford rent, the median rent. So
Thank you. Thank
thanks.
you. If you have that information, if you could email me? Okay, thank you, thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak that has not had a chance to speak in the public portion? Eileen?
Good evening, members of the board and the residents of Orangetown who are watching tonight's board meeting. Let me count the ways Orangetown will become more urbanized rather than a suburban community. We have coming before us what I consider almost like a tsunami. Based on the proposed development that is going to be spread out through the town, we have Pearl River, 109 residents in the project over here. In Palisades, we have 54 two-bedroom ranch homes at the Arbor House, used to be Esplanade. We have the additional data center coming in, and they already have received tax incentives. At the H&A property on 39W, there's approximately close to 500 people could be living at that site. And now, of course, in Palisades, we have the roundabout, which, well, I have to say that I was at the meeting with Senator Bill Weber, and he said that the best we could do as residents is to make the board listen carefully to us and have this project put on hold for now. It has to come from you to speaking to the Department of Transportation. When and if the town board does address these proposed multifamily residences, I hope you address the impact on all the infrastructures. For example, sewer, ambulance, water, police, highway, schools, etc. Because wherever you live here in Orangetown, what they do over here is going to affect you, because our infrastructure is not old, but it needs a lot of updating, I'm sure. Our fire department is looking for volunteers. As these buildings get built and are taller, you're going to see less and less people volunteering. It's not like Palisades, Spark Hill. They come, they look at a little ranch or a split level, and they can handle it. We are looking for volunteers, so as the handwriting on the wall, Orangetown will eventually have a paid fire department and police department, and then we'll see our taxes really go off the wall. Back around 1993, when I was on the board, there was a project proposed for Blauvelt. The project was 340 apartments. The applicant had a map, and as a town board member, I sat on a committee, and we tried to convince the developer to do something else. 1 acre zoning, half acre zoning, 3rd acre, and 10 acres would be MFR. The Rockland County Planning Board turned it down and said if the Orangetown Board would recommend it, we would have to create a hamlet, a new school in Blauvelt. All of our infrastructure would have to be totally increased. So for a few dollars we gave them, they went away. And what did they build on the site? Single-family homes, high-end. So that's what we have over there. As a 55-year resident, that the tsunami is coming to Orangetown. It is called development. Please consider impacts on Orangetown taxpayers. Perhaps we need another Orangetown master plan committee. I'm not against such
Eileen,
stuff.
we have to just,
You know, I'm not against it, but I think there's too much
better-
on your plate, and it's scattered all over.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else would like to speak that has not had a chance to speak tonight? Okay, seeing no hands, I'm going to take a motion to close.
Make a motion, close public comment.
I'll second.
Favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I'll just to answer Tina's question. There is, the town never enacted any TOD. The previous town supervisor had undertaken steps and a study, and they had done a lot of work towards it, but it never was finalized. So, no, there is no TOD in place. I don't know, is any other questions? I don't, do you want to get up and maybe address anything that was said, or?
Tag teaming. I lived in Piermont for 36 years. I have an apartment in Pearl River. So I understand everything that everybody has said here tonight. I get it. We had a lot of issues in Piermont about change and growth and all of those things, and we understand it. But what I said earlier, I think everybody has to really just stop for a second and get. It's almost a cart before the horse at the moment for tonight, but only for tonight, okay? What we're doing here is we're sort of putting our toe in the water and saying to this board, do you have interest in this? Does this seem to you to be a good thing for Pearl River? All of the things that everybody's brought up about availability, about low income, about how big it's going to be, about how many apartments it's going to be, about what it's going to cost. I'll tell you right now as I stand here, and I have been living this project for a while, we don't know. We're not sure. We don't know where it's going to end up, because we don't know as we sit here tonight whether we can even do it, okay? So when the statement earlier was, before we go and dedicate time and money and effort and get excited about it, we have to know if we can do it. So know that we're hearing you. Know that we're not saying, yeah, we're absolutely married to everything you've heard about it. And understand that tonight, all we're doing is saying we're taking the first step, okay? But know that you've been heard. Thanks.
Thanks. So I'll just give my kind of thoughts, and again, going back to the fact that it completely makes sense what you're saying, that you don't know how many units you're going to get, what kind of setbacks would be required, going back to the fire talk from the firemen over there. Obviously, anything would have to go before the fire inspectors. They, make all the recommendations about, those things. So it's hard for you to sit and talk about a project when you don't know what you have. I personally support a version of this project there. I think if you look at the existing conditions, it's underutilized, and I think the word was unattractive. I'd say it's really almost ugly, and it's not just that property. It's across the street, and, I think there's a need, and again, it's easy for people to sit there when they're in their homes and they don't remember that I think the average medium household in at least Rockland or whatever is like almost $760,000. So you take I'll use my son, 29-year-old. He has to come up with hundreds of thousands of dollars to put 20% down and close on a house. It's not happening. He works locally. His employer, who is Pfizer, I had met with them way back when, and they said one of the biggest issues they face is housing for their entry-level scientists or employees. They're driving from Queens to go up to Pfizer in Pearl River. There's a need. So, it's on the railroad tracks, and again, I know people talk about the James, and I know that is a overwhelming, too big, too much, which is down in Jersey. But I think a appropriately sized, attractive, because that is an attractive-looking building, rentals, and again, I say for my son, but I'm still living in my home in Pearl River. I would love to be able to walk out and walk into town and, well, the bartender left, but go see one of my favorite bartenders at the saloon. So I think there's a need. There is a need, and I think we just have to get the right fit. So that's my take on the project.
I agree with Teresa that this is a good, first step, and I think that something it's not a bad concept. It may not be the right building or the right size building, but it's a good spot for it. And I think the concept of development along the railway makes a lot of sense, and it's something that will bring Orangetown into the future. So again, it's a good first step, but I can understand also why the developer's not coming with finalized plans and paying a fortune, because first he has to get approved by us, which is only one small piece of the puzzle, because then it has to go to the county, and it has to go to the planning board, and it has to go through the building department for review, and through the fire department for review. So you wouldn't spend all that money on this until you see it. This was an original plan we looked at a while ago, and we actually suggested some changes in this just through conceptual. So this is far different from where it will end up, but I think it's a concept that I could agree with. As far as the roundabout in Palisades, the roundabout in Palisades is on a New York State highway, roadway, whatever you want to call it. They determine the speed of traffic on their roadways, and they're not very giving to us as town members when we ask them to change it. I was in discussions with this many, many moons ago, and what their concept back then was to put in a traffic signal with a turning lane and reduce some of the speed. And from what I remember, a lot of residents came out against that, and that's why the state went back to the drawing board and came up with this concept. I'm not a big fan of this concept, I gotta be honest with you, traffic circles, especially there with the bikers and the trucks and everything else. But from what I remember back then, they were taking as much property for the turning lanes, they were moving the bus stop, putting in a crosswalk, and all that stuff as they are now with this traffic circle. And I'm amazed that a state senator would tell them to come to Orangetown when it's a state project.
Yeah.
But if that's what it takes us to, to take a look at this, I think it should be something that is looked at, but this is far down the road. I mean, this has been going on, how many years ago is that,
I'll
Teresa?
take it a
10
step
years,
further.
12
I will
years?
take a step further, that certain people from Palisades, certain who are now here against it, were at a meeting where it was said that they wanted a traffic circle, and the people from Palisades in that meeting said they wanted it. And then the state went off and did what they did. And again, somebody who's against it now sat in that meeting and did say, I never thought it was going to happen. I did say to the DOT back then, are you going to have public meetings about this, knowing that 3 or 4 people speaking don't speak for the people of Palisades? And they said, yeah, we're going to have hearings, we're going to have whatever. And we kept following up with them, when are you going to present this to the public? And the next thing you know, they were like, they had sent letters to people that they had these designs ready.
Well, we didn't even know.
Which had no idea, and we were following up regularly with them. So, yeah, it was, so.
That signal, that intersection, can be a very dangerous intersection. Those cars are flying down there. You know, I go up there with my trucks all the time, and you have to be careful. Like this gentleman said, you got to make sure you stop and you let the northbound traffic go before you try to cross, because those cars are flying and there's trucks on that road, and it's a thoroughfare. It's not a country road. It's a main thoroughfare, and something needs to be done. And again, I'm not in full agreement that a traffic circle is the right something. I thought they had a really good concept plan when they had the turning lanes on both sides and a traffic signal and you know. And again, the state is their own animal. They're very hard to deal with. We've been trying to deal with them on so many issues you can't imagine. They do their own thing.
Well, June 3rd, they agreed to do a public outreach.
Which I think is a great thing, and I hope the whole community comes out and says their piece on June 3rd.
Yep, here at 6 o'clock.
Here at 6
June
o'clock.
3rd.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll just mention something on the traffic circle, Paul, I think you hit all the high notes. There's been discussion that they are apparently safer than turn lanes and stuff like that, where vehicles actually slow down, crosswalks are supposed to be safer, and apparently there's studies doing it, but again, it's a state road. I would love to see the speed limit reduced on 9W, because I'm on 9W quite a bit as well. And you don't need those trucks flying up and down the road. In terms of the project in Pearl River, I apparently am in the minority that I oppose this kind of a development in downtown Pearl River. I don't agree with flipping commercial properties to pure residential. If there were, and we are going to talk about the James just south of us because it was brought up by the applicant, just south of us, the James does have a commercial portion to the building, which was not presented, and it certainly was requested at one point for this project, and it's not being shown here. But I don't think I'll ever approve a complete flip from a commercial zone to a residential zone unless it's in the right area. This intersection is right down the road from my house. The county in recent years has flipped the truck route to go from Central Avenue down South Main Street, up Gilbert Avenue, which is right past this building. This is one of the most dangerous intersections in downtown Pearl River, and you could see the entire intersection without that building being there because it's an open parking lot. People just fly through there. So I don't think it's the right spot for it. And in looking at it is a beautiful building. I mean, it's a job well done. But if I count the balconies, I see 4 balconies on each side, 4, 8, 12, 24. I see 24 units. That would be great. I don't know where 109 units is coming from, and no commercial or even senior housing or anything like that on anywhere to be presented. So I mean, while I can empathize with young people trying to rent apartments, a woman who spoke, sorry, I missed your name, at $4,000 like a month, $3,500 or $3,000, whatever they might be charging down at James. If you're coming out of college making $100,000 a year, yeah, you probably afford to live here, but it's not feasible for somebody who's younger to actually, if we think about it, to actually move into this place when you're just paying a rent, you're getting no equity. I'd rather be paying $4,000 a month and getting equity out of my house than paying $3,000 a month and getting nothing for it. But that's just me with an accounting and conservative background.
But they can't afford them because they're $760,000 for the average house, so they can't afford them. So they have to pay rent. Not that they want to, they have to.
Sorry.
No.
So in looking at this project, I just don't think it's the right area. It's not at the right spot. It's encroaching on, and Catherine spoke earlier. She just did a huge, and I don't know how many people drive by this area. She just did a great renovation on her house, expanded it, and now it's just going to envelop her entire property and her entire house. I just think it's just an overreach. I think there should be, if they came back with 20, 25 units, commercial on the bottom, possibly even senior housing, which we've done in other areas in downtown Pearl River, I'd be in favor of it. Because again, this was a commercial property across the street, and as far as I know, I didn't belong to the gym there. Vision was closed because they needed more warehouse space. This would have been a great spot to put warehouses in and create that warehouse space to help, USIS utilize that area. So I just think it's overreaching, and I don't think I would ever approve this zone of that area. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm just going to back up to this traffic circle. I worked for the police department in Orangetown here for 35 years. I investigated hundreds of accidents along there. I think that the difficulty with the state can be eased with the police department that we have, along with the state police. It's a state road, but it's our road. I think part of the problem is that's a hill that you're coming down through the rock cut, and when you do straighten out, it doesn't give you enough time to see a car traveling at that speed because they come in and there's a curve in the road as you approach the traffic signal. I can't imagine having a tractor trailer going around that traffic circle. I mean, it just boggles my mind. But I think that we need to increase that. We do have a traffic unit in the police department for trucks, and the fines are pretty hefty. I think you change people's ideas, change the way they're going to go. Unfortunately, I mean, 9W is a truck route that goes through, and it allows them to go. They can't go down Oak Tree Road. That's 5 ton. And we just recently changed to not to go through Spark Hill, and they're turning over there by Lawrence Park, which to me is a terrible turn, but that's what happened. But I think the changing behavior and maybe some signage and doing something with that light, allowing people to make that turn that one gentleman mentioned. But I think a traffic circle is a nightmare. Going back, if I back up into this, I think that this is kind of big for that intersection. I don't oppose some sort of housing development there. I disagree. I think we have enough senior housing. If it's the first level of businesses to support, and some housing above that. But again, we have a ton of senior housing at this point. Some housing for our younger people, I think, would be beneficial. Not to this size that we see here, but something can go on that corner.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
we're done. The public portion is done. No, we're not going to go
But
back
there-
and forth.
but-
Jerry, it's
but-
been a long night. Let's just finish. Let
something
Brian
can
go,
be.
and then let's.
So
Sorry, you did.
Go ahead, that's okay.
So my son's looking to move out in the next 6 months. He lives in Pearl River, and he has nowhere to go. So he's not going to be living in Pearl River. I think this would be ideal. Again, I agree with the concept. Maybe the spot might not be the ideal place, but I think we need housing like that. As far as affordability per unit, the applicant said that it's pretty much going to be market rate. We don't know what market rate's going to be in a couple of years from now, but it's going to be in line with the market in Orangetown and neighboring municipalities. So, but I do support the concept here, and, we need more responsible tax rateables. The applicant pays $70,000 in taxes. It could be exponentially higher than that, so I would welcome something like that. But I do think we need apartments like these to keep our younger residents here.
Okay, on that note, we can move on with the agenda. We're at item number 7. Okay, can I get a motion to approve resolution authorizing the issuance of 2,129,000 serial bonds for the town of Orangetown to pay for the cost of increase and improvement of the Orangetown Sewer District in the town of Orangetown. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait, we got to do roll call. Sorry, back. Roll call. Roll call.
Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes.
Councilman Jerry Batari,
Yes.
Councilman Brian Donahue,
Yes.
Councilman Dan Sullivan,
Yes.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Yes. Okay, we did 8 already. So, resolution number 9, again, is authorizing the town supervisor to revoke the license privilege to be at town hall until such time as it is restored by the town supervisor.
It's supposed to be TD? Oh, no. All right. I make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It took me a second to figure out. I was like, wait, Okay. Okay, yeah, right, didn't last long, right? Okay, number 10, a motion to approve, authorize the town attorney to sign a settlement of documents in a tax certiorari proceeding 93-95 South Broadway Corp. Versus the town of Orangetown.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 11, recognize the appointment by Superintendent of Highways Jim Dean of Matthew Johnson for the Assistant Automotive Mechanic Provision effective May 4th. Motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 12, reclassify the principal clerk typist, appoint Christine Fuller to that position. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
13, approve the intermunicipal agreement with the Rockland County for reimbursement of overtime costs for the counterterrorism training. Motion?
Motion.
There was two more. Okay. Dan-
Second.
Okay, so Jerry, Dan, all in favor?
Aye.
Accept the retirement of police officer Johnny McCara effective May 30th, 2026. Motion?
Motion, and I'd just like to say that Johnny's, I believe, about 28 years he worked for me, and I wish him well in his retirement. He's a very nice guy.
Okay, second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 15, approve the installation of a street light at Windsor Brook Lane and Kings Highway in Tapan. Motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 16, get a motion to award a contract to Century Equipment Corp. to repair, rebuild the primary clarifier. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 17, award a contract with Coaster Associates to supply 3 chemical storage tanks, blah, 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 hypochlorite up to 20%. Where's Eamon? Well, could you put it in English for me so I know what I'm reading? Okay. Okay.
Motion.
Jerry moved it, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 18, can I get a motion to combine and approve agenda items 19 through 23?
Motion to combine and approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have the audit.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, the audit for tonight's meeting consists of 2 warrants for $2.1 million. Items of interest, number 1, Capasso, $111,000 for recycling. Number 4, Global Montello, $51,000 for fuel. Number 8, New York State Employee Health Insurance, $1.1 million for health insurance. And number 9, O'Sullivan Tree Care, $151,000 for return of escrow. Any questions on the audit?
Nope. Can I get a motion to accept the audit?
I make a motion to accept the audit. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we do have executive session for personnel matters and the proposed acquisition, sale, lease of real property when publicly might affect the value. We do have one adjournment. I don't know if anyone heard, but Judge Richard Ramsey passed away, 91. He was a former Orangetown Town Justice for many, many years. So on that note, Paul, you want
Teresa, can I add one to the adjournment? Phil Fallon, he's a friend of ours from New York, from New City. If you can add him, that'd be great.
Phil Fallon.
Yeah, Phil Fallon, he just passed unexpectedly. Fallon.
Okay.
I make
Okay.
a motion that we adjourn the regular town board meeting. We're going to executive session with no further votes.
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, Rob.